Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the upper deck with Lynn and Sierra. I'm Lynn, and there's Sierra. And the theme of the day, we're going to just start right off with you're killing me, Smalls, because holy crap, what is going on with our guys, Sierra?
I am extremely sad because our favorite guy will not be joining us. Well, I'm sure he'll be there, but he won't be on the roster for opening day. And I know we all kind of speculated that this was going to happen once they announced the elbow injury for Stanton, but now that it's official, like my heart actually broke because he's never missed opening day. With all his injuries, Stanton has never missed opening day ever in his career. And also, it makes me so sad just thinking about the fact that this man literally carried us on his back, on his elbows through the postseason.
That's why they're broken.
Like he did it with broken elbows. He still played better than everyone else, and we couldn't pull it out for him. And that just absolutely, it breaks my heart because, and I'm not saying this to be negative, and I would never say this hoping it comes true as a G fan, but who knows what he has left in his career, right? He's 35. He's clearly injury prone. My guy's elbows are broken. His legs go out every season. We don't know what is left of Giancarlo Stanton. So if the baseball gods give him back to us this season, we have to make it worth it. Okay, like we have to make it worth it for him because we don't know at this point what's going to happen down the line.
Yeah, and for me, I want him to work it out. I don't want to even hear that. Okay, maybe he could be back in April. I don't want to go there. I don't want to hang my hat on that. If it takes him until August, let it take him till August. Because like you just said, see, like he needs a ring, for crying out loud. He needs to hit those numbers because he's so close to the Hall of Fame. I could taste it. And if I could taste it, I'm sure he's tasted it. And to your point, we don't know how much, time we have left. Oh, that sounds terrible, how much time we have left with him. But you know what I mean. And it's just, tennis elbow, sounds so like, cute, but it's not. It's painful. I've had it. Have it on both arms. That's some serious stuff, but he's getting treated and hopefully he'll work through it. I just don't want him rushing back.
Yeah, absolutely. And you brought up the Hall of Fame, and one of the things that almost guarantee you to get into the Hall of Fame is 500 home runs. He's sitting at 429 right now, right? If he was able to make it to 40 years old like Jeter did, he would no doubt get those 500 home runs.
Yes.
But what I'm worried about with Stanton is it's going to be, and please do not take this as me comparing him to A-Rod, just like similar situations where A-Rod was 3 home runs away from 700. I would hate to see G get so close to 500 and just miss it. Like that would kill me. Like as a fan, just him just missing that mark. And I know he's such a humble guy, right? He does so good with the media. He never complains. The beating he takes from the fans, it's never got to him. Like there are guys who the media, it'll get to them. The fans will get to them. Like Joey Gallo is a perfect example.
Yeah.
Stanton is not that guy. So, but he is human. So there's no way that it's not in the back of his mind that he's that close to 500. And also, the elbows, like tennis elbow, it's not something because, there's a lot of doctors online right now. There's a lot of doctors on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook. And I say that very sarcastically. Yep. Tennis elbow is not something you typically get surgery for. So all the people saying, why didn't he get this taken care of in the off season?
That's correct.
He did. He rested it. He did what the doctors told him to do. And if you think about it, so it's been about 3 months since the last time he swung the bat. That's probably the timeline that they gave him. And now that he still can't, he's in New York. He got the injections. I guess we just got to wait and see what happens.
That's right. And you can't say that he didn't put in work in the off season. I mean, walking down, for the question of the day or whatever the frig it is they do when they come out of the parking lot the first time. I was like, oh my God, like, you put me under last season when you showed up. This season, it was like, okay, something else happened. Maybe it's just that his arms were swollen because of tennis elbow. But no, I mean, it's clearly that he's been working and prepping and getting ready despite the pain. And being on both sides like that, there's no doubt that he's gonna do the thing and do what he has to do. But that also means doing the rest. And I don't think we're going to see him. They're saying that you might see him just at least show up in Tampa this coming week. But you know what? If he has to stay home for more infusions or whatnot, then that's what he should do. He should be home with the doctors that have been treating him all along. But I had to throw. I'm gonna do this for a second. I had to throw this up behind me because I'm gonna will this back into existence. My two boys, our two guys, are gonna be together again this season. And so, but let's get back to this because we're just starting with the most consequential injury. But let me just start by saying hello to everybody. So we got John the Beagle Dad. Yo, Lori. We got Jonathan. Jacob Petruzzi says, hi, hey, besties. Jason, good to see you here. Lou, good morning. Good morning, Joe. Raziel, always here helping slap the like and with all the caps saying good morning. We love it. Yeah, I hope he didn't break his bows, Raziel, but he certainly did tweak them. Tweak seems to be the word of the week in this injury world. FJ, good to see you as always. Jonathan, and Jonathan saying, I'm not sure how much Big G has left. And no one is. And we just, and Ciara, you raised such a good point. I'm going to pause here because it's almost like maybe it's better if we cut him if he stops at 429 because getting to 499, getting to 482, like the closer he gets, the more it's going to hurt everybody. But doubling down on you, Jason, we got to get him that ring. And so, and you know what? The issue is that this team may be 10 games under 500 if he's out that long. Well, we've been there before. We'll be there again, G with us or not. But I think that has to do with the rest of the team more than it does with G.
But that brings up a point. So I had this conversation with somebody the other day. Do you think that Stanton is actually more important to this lineup than Aaron Judge? Just based on previous history, when G goes down and what happens with the team. I mean, look at last season. He went down in June. That is the month that the team imploded and fell apart. So do we think that we have a case that Giancarlo Stanton is actually more important to the lineup? Obviously, Aaron Judge is the better baseball player. No one's saying he's not. But do you think that Stanton could possibly be more important to the lineup as a whole than Aaron Judge?
Well, I'm going to start looking for in the chat on that. Yeah, and Sean, we got 3 years on his career with 79 till 500. Yeah, but it's looking like things are going to get cut short one way or another. The writing's a little bit on the wall. We could be wrong about that, but let's see. Oh, and Raziel's coming in with, yeah, he's way more important.
He lengthens the lineup. That's the whole thing is like, I just think he lengthens the lineup, and you're a pitcher. You have to choose. Am I pitching to Judge or Stanton? Because when they're both in the lineup, you can't pitch around them both. But when it's just Judge, you're just pitching around the guy. Like they proved last season in June, if you pitched around Soto and Judge, the rest of the lineup wasn't doing anything at that point.
Right. And I think we also have to remember that G, we talk about this all the time. He's the silent captain, right? Mm-hmm. And so his presence in there, would be missed for that. And he just brings the excitement to the game that no one else brings. And so even if we get him in a small sample size, and typically when we do get him, we get some real good action out of him. And as we get into those waning months deep into the season, and I also want to remind everybody that last season, it wasn't just about like the postseason. It was also about when we were really dipping and diving and drowning in the mid-season. G carried us through and got us back in the groove on things. So, it's sometimes I say where Judge goes, so does everyone else. It's really equally, if not even a little bit more true, that the same for G. He just sparks the team on. So um yeah, so and John's saying, hey John, good morning. A lot of players overtrain in the off season.
I don't think that's the case with Stanton. So not anymore anyway. So I know in the past, Stanton has been very bodybuilder like, right? We've seen his workouts. The guy is pounding the weights. Last season though, he came into spring training slimmed down. We all joked, we called him skinny Stanton. Like he looked like a healthy, very different version of Stanton. And even this season, he looked really healthy coming in.
Yeah.
And so I would like to think that he did take the last 3 months, listen to his doctors, because the Yankees admitted that they knew about the elbow issue in the playoffs. I would like to think that Stanton took the last 3 months and listened to his doctors and rested. But when he got to spring training, it was still bothering him to the point where he couldn't swing the bat. Now we'll never know the answer to that because that's just the way it goes. Baseball is very like hush hush about certain things when it comes to players and their health and their injury. And please don't get me started on HIPAA because it's not a HIPAA thing. It's just that they don't want to share everything with us, which is whatever. But yeah, I don't think we'll ever really answer to that, but I would like to think that's what happened because I would like to think that Stanton knows how important he is to this team and that he's being precautious.
Yeah. And just to think of what he did in the postseason, and I'm not sure if both elbows were involved at that point or what, to do what he did on that, we're glad he did. It didn't work out, but it makes me feel even worse for him.
Right.
It didn't work out that way. And I would just rather have him take his time and not feel pressed to come back in. And he'll help us catch up when he's ready. I'm promising myself, and you guys will hold me accountable, that I'm not going to be counting the days and starting to worry. If you slap me in the face in April, if I'm like, why isn't he back yet? Because I'm likely to say it. So I'm giving everyone permission to, slap me in the chat if I ever do that, because chances are it will. But yeah, and you're right, Sean. We want to strengthen his case, but to Jason, thank you for making me feel a little bit better. Just all his postseason dominance, will be part of the discussion. My only concern with that is that I don't trust the voters. I don't trust the writers holding the purse on all of this because it's so sketchy. The results every year, and there's no standard, there's no scale that everybody holds themselves to. The good thing on G's side is he hasn't pissed anyone off ever that I know about. I don't know about any of you. I think he's well liked. He's done nothing but show himself as accountable and earnest and all about it's on me, all about what's best for the team. So that's something in his favor. We just got to get him. I want him closer to 500 so the argument's as strong as possible.
100%.
Hey, D, good to see you. Always glad to have somebody from another fan base. I'm assuming you're here just to be a friendly fellow New Yorker. So good to see you. And hope spring training has been fun for you. All right. So, but this list of injuries, everybody, what is going on?
I mean, everyone's favorite third baseman got 2 at bats and then went down again. So the Yankees injury bug is out early this season. I'm gonna be honest with you guys though, when it comes to DJ LeMahieu, and please nobody take this as me celebrating an injury because I'm not like sadistic or anything, but none of us wanted the guy on the roster opening day, right? So maybe DJ being injured, that might be a blessing in disguise. Okay, because that opens the door for Peraza to be the third baseman. And I mean, he doesn't look perfect, but he looks pretty decent in spring training right now. And then you still have Waldo on the bench as your utility backup guy. I'm okay with that at this point because the Yankees clearly aren't going to get us a third baseman from anywhere else. So
That is for sure. And I got this right off the Twitter before we hopped on that DJ said his condition is nothing major, but it's probably going to be a little bit before he can return.
DJ the bad calves.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of it, DJ, because at this point I don't see him. But we are talking about Boone. Um, I really don't see him being anything other than a bench piece at this point. It's all I ever saw him as coming into the spring training.
That's all he was ever supposed to be. He was only supposed to be a utility player. No, don't get me wrong. The DJ LeMahieu that we signed 5 years ago, because it's a 6-year contract, the DJ LeMahieu that we signed was a Gold Glove winner, and he in a Silver
Absolutely.
Slugger. But we don't have that version of DJ at this point. So it's time to Jacoby Ellsbury him, Josh Donaldson him, Aaron Hicks him. I don't care at this point. Get him out of here. Like, he is not 2019 DJ. I don't hate the signing at that point, but now in 2025, it is time to move away from DJ LeMahieu. I wish him all the best, just not in pinstripes.
Yep, and the thing is, yeah, and he went down fast, and he's had a lot of opportunities, but I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on YouTube. But there's just something in his makeup that makes him so prone to this. And I mean, let's be honest, guys. Second at bat, spring training, when you're not even really supposed to be, shoving so hard or driving so hard. I gotta say, I'm naive and I'm optimistic. And when he at his first at bat, he didn't get anywhere, but I liked his form at the plate. I was like, okay, that was a pretty good at bat. Didn't come up with anything, but he didn't hit a toe or anything. So good. I'm optimistic. But second at bat, what the frig? I just, Lori, you're killing me every week. You kill me.
I mean, Stanton stole a base last season, so just saying.
Yeah, that's right. Let's not forget that. Okay, and then look, everybody better start shining Stroman's shoes because heel on the IL, shoulder discomfort. We're waiting for the MRI results. We thought we'd hear about him yesterday. We still haven't. So what's going on with his history?
Yeah. I don't like. I feel like, and I know there's mixed opinions on how the Yankees handle injuries, but two things: the Yankees medical staff is trash. The whole medical staff needs to be erased, and we need a new one. Secondly, the whole off season, or at least like the spring training part of it, some of the things that have been said or that have been done, they feel super shady to me. They're making comments basically saying like, "Oh, we're not that worried about Heel's shoulder. He is a pitcher. That is his shoulder that he throws with." Like, maybe I'm being too reactionary, but baseball is a reactionary sport. Like, I myself have had a shoulder injury in the past. I've had shoulder surgery, so I know it's not something that you can just rush back from. And I'm not saying he needs surgery, so please don't anyone take that as what I'm saying. But he has history of injury already, right? And I realized that it was the elbow previously, but it's all connected.
Yeah.
It's all on your arm, and he needs it to have his mechanics, to have his control, to be able to pitch, and to do his job. So for them to say, "Don't worry about it," it's kind of trash, in my opinion.
Yep. I mean, who would disagree with that? And and the medical staff really needs to be like just I don't know. I'm going to write to the American Medical Association at this point. I think their licenses should be removed. Just kidding. Don't sue me. But I mean, look at the history of things that have really gone wrong and screwed up. And so let's talk about Schmidt. So now that's two guys in our starting rotation. Now Schmidt was projected to be back by yesterday. Haven't seen him.
He started his bullpen session, right? I think Friday or Saturday, I can't remember. But he left because his back is still barking. Whatever the hell that means.
His back is still working?
Barking. Woof,
barking.
woof, like a dog. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Alex Verdugo in his back right now.
Oh my God. Well, I I don't, maybe this is me, but I don't think of Schmidt as an injury prone or, ridden, plagued guy. So, you know, and maybe I'm just repressing that memory, but
No, because it's not major injuries, but I looked into it recently because he's had like these small injuries over the years. He has these small things come up where he misses a start or two. Nothing crazy, but it is concerning.
it, it's definitely concerning. And I hope whenever, he and Luke Griever get together that, something happens and it's going to be, it's just going to be all fixed. But, yeah. Oh, so didn't know that, Raziel. Okay. Well, then there we go. So it was another bargain basement deal. We got the head doctor from the WWE. Okay. Right. Let's take them on board.
I mean, and then if you just look at the pitchers in general, right? Like we have Scott Efros. We've basically paid this guy $3.4 million to not pitch. Like, have we ever seen him? Maybe 2 innings. 2022 shoulder injury. 2023 Tommy John. Now 2024 back. And now his freaking hamstring.
Right.
Like, can we catch a break with this guy?
Well, obviously we're catching breaks. We're just like, meaning the bad kind of breaks. But FJ, I'm so with you. These are young guys. Like they don't even they still have their training wheels on, for crying out loud. And again, one would think it has to do with the conditioning and the medical attention, etc. In terms of what are they doing to, training and conditioning these guys to have this happen. And it speaks to up in the bigs and down in the minors. What's really going on here? And then, like, the Academy Awards are tonight, and I feel like the remaining list of injuries to go through will run out the whole show. I'm going into rolling credits, like at the end of a movie, on everyone that we have out. So you already mentioned Efros, but we have Brubaker out with fractured ribs. So
he's another guy that we haven't even seen pitch yet because this one just his is comical to me, not his injury, but so we acquired him for a bag of chips essentially, but we acquired him injured. We acquired him post Tommy John surgery. So we never got to see him last season, which is whatever. Clearly Cashman knew that taking him, but now he has 3 fractured ribs. That guy's in pain, and there's no other way to say it. And when it comes to baseball, these injuries, you never know how long they're going to take to recover from. It seems like baseball injuries take so much longer to recover than any other sport, and it is what it is. Like I'm not complaining about that, but it's just so interesting that it's all of our pitchers, because we got Jake Cousins is still down, and then the guy that I was rooting for our prospects, Chase Hampton. Out of nowhere, Tommy John surgery.
Oh, bye-bye, Chase.
Like, that just came out of left field.
Don't go chasing Chase. Nope. No, he out of here. And then we have Vivas. There's no Vivas Las Vegas in our world, but sore right shoulder, maybe March. It's his throwing shoulder, of course.
But Vivas, he's like our 17th infielder at this point.
Right.
I feel bad for the kid, but he wasn't going to make the roster anyway.
Right. Yeah. And the little sample size we had, that's fine. Let him get down there and keep working at it. I think you already mentioned Cousins. Who else we got? Well, the good news is, at least with Grisham had been suffering a hamstring, but his speed is picking back up, and Lord knows, I think we're going to be seeing more of Grisham potentially than one would have expected, at least at the start of the season. And did you mention Beater yet?
No.
He's another one. Beater is down with right shoulder discomfort. I don't know about you, but I have to go to work when I have some discomfort. But I guess his throwing arm is a bit
I'm on
more.
the computer all day for work, so I'm gonna put myself on the 10-day IL for left wrist discomfort.
Yeah,
Sorry, I can't type. I can't send any emails. I can't do
sorry,
anything.
sorry. Yeah, it's. I'm feeling like the carpal tunnel is. But listen, and Johnny Lowe,
Oh
um,
my god.
I, like, don't even give us an expected return date anymore. Just don't. I mean, you're insulting us at this point. Late April, early May tells me after the All Star break, if then. Like, this is another one that already has so much baggage and another young kid. But it's no joke, UCL surgery. So excited when they re-signed him, but why did
Johnny
we?
Lowe is Johnny Lowe is the guy that if he can stay healthy, he will be the fire thrower in the bullpen. If he could stay healthy, could you imagine Loizaga, Weaver, and Williams? Like that is just a deadly three pitcher combination right there. But it's all about the health at this point. And like we clearly just went through a whole list of pitchers. We don't know what to expect out of the Yankees pitching staff. We don't know if we can rely on our. Well, clearly we know we can't rely on our medical staff. There's so many cautionary tales over the seasons. I think Rizzo is the biggest cautionary tale of all. How the
Yes,
guy had a concussion from May to August and nobody knew. Like the guy had his brains were scrambled. He was never himself for those 4 months, and nobody caught on to that. So it's absolutely insane.
absolutely insane. And you know what? At this point, you're still paying money, Rizzo money. Why not just have a frank conversation with him and bring him into, like, bench coach, coach the guys, hand out
But
towels in the clubhouse.
so injury prone that even our hitting coach got a freaking hamstring injury in a pickup basketball game. So like that's how injury prone we are. It's like the Yankees rolled into camp and the injury bug spread like COVID, and it was just like you're next. You get an injury, and you get an injury, and you get an injury. So
All
I
the kids,
mean,
all the cool kids are doing it, man.
yeah, like I don't know what's happening at this point, but hopefully it slows down. We got 25 days until opening day,
Listen,
and we need our starters ready to go.
and you know what? If this is all strategy, like, let's get this all out of the way in March, then I'm all for it. But for the Yankees to have a strategy of any sort, is a pipe dream. And hey, thank you for coming joining us from Puerto Rico, Norman. Good to see you. And let's see what Henry has to say. Henry, we haven't seen you in a while. Um, so we're stuck in purgatory as the Dodgers continue to run the league with their deferrals. It's a joke.
Yeah, they're having a conversation in the chat right now
Okay.
about the Dodger deferrals. We've spent so many weeks talking about the Dodgers and their deferrals and their Avenger team going on over there that maybe this is petty of me, and I realize it's only spring training, but watching Roki Sasaki be taken deep by the White Sox and BP because they share a training facility, so they do stuff together. Seeing Roki Sasaki, the golden child of 2025, giving up home runs in spring training, it brings me joy. It really does. And like I said, I know it's only spring training, but it still brings me joy.
Jay Snow, the Dodgers are smart until they have to pay back on all those deferrals. And good luck if their plan is to sell the team at that point. And good luck finding somebody that's going to say, "Sure, I'll take all that shit on."
I didn't know this, but the Dodgers have like a bunch of corporate like business backers, and that's how they're able to do this. I didn't realize that they had actually like declared bankrupt like back in I think it was like 2011 or whatever. So I don't know how they got to where they're at. They're annoying. I hate them, and I wish nothing but the worst on them. But they are very smart. I'm actively rooting for their downfall. Let me be clear. Like if there's, I won't say that, but if something happened and their stadium went bye-bye, I wouldn't be sad about it.
Yep. They're run by a hedge fund. Okay, well,
That's what
you
it
know
is.
what? All right, so good for them and their little hedgehogs, but it's just not part of the Steinbrenner way. This is never going to be what they do, and so that's what we wear on our shoulders. We're going to be scared of a tax threshold. If there was ever a time to do it, it was this year. to go over that tax threshold, and we didn't. And look at where we are now. We're almost at. Are we even with Stroman? We're at a 5-man rotation, right? At this point, and let's be honest, of the 5-man rotation, how's everyone looking? Thank God Cole had a really good outing yesterday. But Rodon, listen, I think everybody's going to have to go on an apology tour for Stroman, and I
Yeah.
really hope we see good things from him today. To get some people to quiet down a bit, and hopefully Schmidt
I'm
will be back by Thursday like he's supposed to be. But all
I'm
of a
gonna go on
sudden,
the
we're
record
worried
and
about
say
being
that
6-man. We're no worries now.
no worries now, because between Schmidt and Heel, you don't know who's going to be there. But I'm going to go on the record here and say that Stroman is going to end up being our best pitcher in the first half of the season, and that a lot of people are going to. It's going to hurt them to have to admit that they were wrong about Marcus Stroman, and I am here for it. I'm here for the Marcus Stroman redemption. I'm here for the fans apologizing. And it's not even our own fan base, right? It's like the other fan bases are having so much fun with this, but yet everyone wants to gloss over the comments that Rafael Devers made and that Alex Cora made and what's happening in Boston. Like, it's no different. But because it's Stroman and he comes with this weird stigma to him, like, I can't wait for it. Marcus Stroman is going to bounce back this season. He's going to be on his revenge tour in the first half of the season. Second half, we'll see what happens, because I have a feeling that they might, if he does good, that they'll still try to trade him at the deadline. But first half, Marcus Stroman, you watch out.
And up goes his value when that happens, and so then everybody will benefit. But I, for one, at this moment in time, don't want to see Stroman go. I want him to be given the fair shot he's never been given. They need to pay him back for the World Series, because talk about the head games this front office makes. That was just and I know we're not supposed to be all in our feelings about stuff, but look, it's just not a good way to be. And Joe, you're absolutely right. He does usually pitch great in the first half. And you know what? So he doesn't have the velo. I say this all the time. He doesn't have the velo. What did him in terms of his first pass with us last year is his commands and location just weren't there. And he wasn't the ground ball pitcher that he was pretended to be.
Not even that. The Yankees defense sucked and just let him down.
Well,
like, infield defense was
and then
trash.
there's that. Exactly. And we have to sit here and talk about development players. Are you kidding? Well, but we have farm systems for a reason, Henry. So and speaking of, we're seeing some good stuff from the non-roster invitees that came up, and from the 40-man guys that came up for the spring training. So why don't we get off the injury list thing? I'm starting to feel sick. My voice I'm losing my voice again. Let's talk about who we're happy about what we've been seeing so far. Who do you want to talk about first, Ciara?
Well, I'm gonna go with someone who's actually on our roster just to kick it off, because I am so excited for Cody Bellinger to be a New York Yankee. Like, I was excited when the signing happened, but just what he's done so far in spring training, and I know I'm being reactionary again, but that's who I am. So just get over it, guys. We saw our first belly bomb, right? He has 5 hits. He has a 500 average right now. He has an on-base percentage of 500, and his OPS is 1.400. Like, my guy Belly looked really good, and not to mention the defense. Bellinger's and that's nothing against Aaron Judge. He looked fine up until the World Series, right? But Bellinger is flashing the glove in center field, and I am loving every second of it, because most of you guys know I'm a huge Harrison Bader fan. That was one of my favorite parts of his game, was his gold glove in center field. That's what Bellinger reminds me of when he's out there making these plays. His very first game out, when there was a little hop in center field and he got it to Jazz at second and got the runner out. Like, that is what I want to see more of all season. So Belly looks amazing, and I'm here for it.
Yep, and same for me. And let's not forget that he is well suited for being all across that outfield. And Lord knows, and we're going to be. I'm sure it's going to be inevitable that we're talking about the Martian at some point. If he needs to pivot to either of the corners, and center, it doesn't matter. He's got it, and I think we could just feel confident about that. I want to say hey to Uptown Sports. Thank you so much. Absolutely. If anyone's going to agree with you on that, got to support women in sports. Thanks for being here with us. And so, very excited about Belly. Um, Not minding Goldschmidt at all. I think that even third base being what it is, at least we have first base secured defensively. Um, so let's talk about Volpe for a second. So, I know it's a little controversial to be bringing it up when on something that's hot, but you know what? Something big happened to him, and yeah, it was in spring training, but that 110-mile-per-hour home run, um, that was the hardest hit home run he's ever hit to date. And so the exit velo was 108 or something like that. But he's exceeding his velo, leaving the park, and it's a teeny sign. It's like a bud of a flower, but it was good to see. But as we know, that's only half of the equation, right, Sierra?
Yeah, part of me actually felt bad for Volpe last week. So the day before he hits his home run, the entire team is getting hits. Everyone is joining the hit party. We are just racking up runs. It's amazing. But Volpe wasn't a part of that. So the next day he comes out, he has 0 hits in spring training up to this point.
Right.
Finally gets a hit. It's a home run. It's the hardest one he's ever hit in his career. But it's spring training. So can Volpe translate that to regular season? However, outside of all of that, Volpe's defense has looked atrocious. And I just want to point out that Volpe's defense has looked atrocious for a while now. It looked atrocious last season, but we all ignored it because we were so busy focusing on Glaber and how bad he was at second. Volpe was right behind him in errors. His rookie season, he won a Gold Glove, but I really equate most of that to having Gold Glove veteran Anthony Rizzo at first base. Because look, Rizzo was out most of last season, so you had different people playing first base, and Volpe looked horrible. And now he looks horrible in spring training. I know it's only spring training. We've said that 1,000 times. I just hope he figures it out and gets it turned around. This is his 3rd season. There are a lot of eyes on this kid. He's supposed to be the next great New York Yankee. They put a lot of stock into the kid from New Jersey. And you know what? That's not fair to him. I get that. But it is what it is. At this point, he's got to get it together.
Right. And we bought into that whole thing, hook, line, and sinker, right? And that's called good marketing, on the Yankees' part. Oh, the kid from Jersey, the next Derek Jeter, and all that crap that went on. When he's just turning out to be, at best an above average player. But I can't even say above average at this point in time, because that Gold Glove year, dim memory, and yeah, and shortstop, as we know, hugely important position. And who else do we got behind him? Volpe's been very healthy. I'm not going to put anything out there, but we're putting so many eggs in the basket with him. I was thrilled for for that marker in the dirt for him yesterday, but I'm really hoping we see something different going on with him on both sides, because he hasn't been a two-sided player.
Yeah, and I think one of the issues when you're a prospect in the Yankees farm system is, and it's not fair to them, right? But when it comes to the New York Yankees, 2 of the biggest shoes you're ever going to have to fill is shortstop and closer, because we were spoiled. We got to see 2 of the greatest to ever play those positions. And in the dynasty years, right? Like Jeter was on the team my entire childhood. Like that is who made me fall in love with the game of baseball. Those are big shoes to fill, and it's not fair that he was compared to him. But But outside of being compared to him, he still has to play just average. Like, you know what I mean? He can't be a below average player because we're trying to win games. We're trying to get back to the World Series. And I understand like the chat is saying, oh, he was known for his bat, but his glove will hurt us in the long run. And that's what I'm saying. Like, all of our defense improved this season, Volpe will be our worst defender in the infield.
Oh, yep. And Sean, we have not forgotten about catcher. No, sir. No, we have not.
I'm also concerned about our catcher's defense this season too. So,
although it's been nice to see Rice, like his muscle memory working in favor of himself and pivoting in, very nicely back into the catcher position. I think it's going to be needed. But I know you have some things you wanted to say about Wells while we're on this hot topic.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to start with the good because there was a lot of chit chat about Wells if his wrist was injured, what's he going to play in spring training, and he wasn't supposed to be showcased until March 1st or 3rd. They brought him in a few days early, and his offense looked great. Right away, it was like I don't know what anyone was talking about. He had a home run, 3 RBI. Like the guy, his offense looks great. My concern is last season, and he was a rookie, but last season we saw this drop off in the second half where it was like, where did Austin Wells go? Like what happened? But when it comes to the defense, and I think this got overlooked because the rest of our infield defense was so bad, Wells led the league in errors for catchers last year. Now, again, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He was a rookie. But that sophomore slump is a thing. It's a proven thing. So my concern is, will Wells be able to get away from that? Will he improve behind the plate? Will he be able to throw out runners without making errors? It's very concerning.
Yeah, it is concerning. And yet, when you look at today's lineup, which we'll put up in the screen in a little bit, here he is leading off today. And again, spring training experiment. And look, he was runner-up for Rookie of the Year. So we could either say, wow, slow year for rookies, or, but, again, he's a kid. So, he still has to develop. But, he did have that home run yesterday, got what? How many RBI? 3 RBIs?
Yeah. He has 3 RBI so far in spring
training. In general, right?
Yeah. In the spring, I'm okay with the spring training experiment, but after he led off, what was it, 2 days ago? Boone, during his interview, said they are contemplating making Wells the leadoff hitter for regular season, and I'm sorry, that made me chuckle because no, like, what are we doing? I mean, that seems insane to me.
Is that how they want to make history? Like,
I guess,
the first catcher in all time, all teams, to be the leadoff guy. That's really not the way I want, like, to add a page to the Yankee history book. And Joe, I'm with you. I was just talking to Sierra about this before we hopped on, that we haven't seen Escara in a minute. So I do like Escara. I have my eye on him, but we have a solid sample size with Rice, and so having maybe we'll have to think about what the backup for Wells is going to be. Who's going to be second? Who's going to be third? We sort of have a bounty of catchers to discuss, relatively speaking, anyway.
I'm super intrigued by Ben Rice and what they're going to do with him, right? Because he has multiple options. So part of me thinks, like, make him the backup first baseman, right? But then part of me is like, no, don't do that, because you're actually going to hurt his development, because you have a Gold Glover, Hall of Famer, Paul Goldschmidt at first base. And realistically, if he needs a day off, you're going to put Cody Bellinger there because you already have a fourth outfielder in Grisham if he's healthy. So realistically,
right,
that would hurt Rice. Whereas if you bring him up as the backup catcher, he would probably see more playing time. But also, then you have a lefty platoon in catchers. And does that hurt us in the long run? But now we know Stanton won't be there. We need a DH. Like, But you can also, when it comes to the, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna ramble for a second. When it comes to the DH, you can rotate through Goldschmidt, Belly, Judge. Like you have a good group of guys that you can rotate through that DH. Don't even get me started on Alex Jackson. Like I know we got him in a trade with Fernando Cruz, but his numbers are so much worse than Jose Trevino's. And I thought the point was to move away from Trevino, but that's a whole other conversation. But there's so many options with Ben Rice at this point. Like the kid, I feel like he can make it on this team in multiple ways, and it intrigues me.
Yeah, my thing with Rice though is it's one thing to pivot, to like move the way we talked earlier about Belly. That Belly is basically a great utility piece for the entire outfield. That's different than learning how to be a first baseman when you've been coming up as a catcher, and then next year you're back. Oh no, abracadabra, you're a catcher again. And getting back into the drive for that, add a third role to that I think you're really missing. You're missing, if anything, just simple muscle memory and the mechanics of it all. And so I think this is the point where they're just going to have to stick. And yeah, and when Goldie needs a break, we have that option with him as well. But then I say, hey, hold the line right there, though. It's too late to make him a utility guy. So
Sean Browning says Dom Smith for DH, and it's so funny because like I've jokingly said this the other day, but it's a very realistic possibility at this point. The guy has shown power in spring training, and I know whatever, but I really think it's going to come down to Dom Smith and Everson Pereira at this point for that last spot.
Yeah, and that spot's going to be open. Sorry, I'm starting to lose my voice. I predicted it. I shouldn't have even said it out loud. Yeah, I think DH is going to be an open spot. It no longer has, Stanton written across it. So it's just going to be the sitting point for, and that's not where DJ is going to be a bench piece, by the way. When I mentioned that, that's what he's really needs. They need to make him. It's more like, okay, bottom of the 12th, we need a pinch hitter, kind of situation.
And everyone else is injured, and a meteor has hit the stadium, and you're our very last option.
Exactly. So let's get to the spring training conversation, because there are some exciting things that we want to talk about in terms of the guys that we're seeing really for the first time in any sort of duration. So who's your favorite so far, Ciara?
Maybe it's the number he wears on his back, but I really am liking Alexander Vargas. He's a shortstop / infielder. The kid has hit 2 home runs already, has 4 hits and 6 at bats. OPS is 2.381. Like, I might be a little biased because he wears number 25, but he looks really good. He looks very comfortable at the plate.
I'm oh gosh, I'm sorry that my voice sounds like sandpaper. It can't be very pleasant on the ears. I'm very excited about Lombard Jr. I know he's 19. I know it's soon. All those things. Hey, no history of injuries of which I'm aware. But he's only like 19. 12. But man, how exciting that home run was yesterday. And he's just looked good on the field as well. And ain't nothing wrong with a really tall infielder. And I like that bit about him as well. I just think that this is somebody we need to hug and develop. And I think he's just A+ at the moment. I'm really hoping that they advance him up if he keeps looking the way that he looks as of now. And let's get some sample size up in the show for him a bit, because my early on take on him is that he's a potential homegrown Yankee that could really do good. So I'm putting that name out there right now. I'm excited about Lombard Jr.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not seeing anyone in the chat saying anything about anyone they're excited about. Who else you got, Ciara?
I know Will Warren, this isn't the first time we're seeing him. We've seen him in the majors. You and I criticized him very harshly last year, rightfully so, because he looked terrible. But he looks really good right now. And again, it's a small sample size, but hear me out. Like through 2 games, the guy has 7 strikeouts through 7 innings. So that's a strikeout per inning and no earned runs.
Yeah.
I never thought we would see that out of Will Warren, even in spring training. So I hope he can, with the way that our injuries are going for pitchers, I hope Will Warren can keep that up because we may need him at some point.
Yeah, he might be a starter soon. At this point, you never know. Tune in next week. Meanwhile, there were some transactions this past week where they they downloaded a bunch of guys back into the farm. So, Sean Boyle, Brennan Davis, Chase Hampton, obviously, Christian Hernandez, Javier Sandridge, Kevin Stevens, back to minors, and Omar Martinez and Leonardo Pistana also back to the minors. So that's a bunch of catchers and pitchers, and one outfielder that they just said, whoop, bye.
I think as we get closer to spring training, we'll see more of these little transactions happening, and we'll start to see things dwindle down because we're going to know who's going to be breaking camp. I think for the most part, I think we'll know our roster minus third base before opening day. I think third base is the one that we will be waiting on. And then we have another young pitcher, and my friend Jacob Petruzzi really likes this guy, but Cam Schlittler, I can't even say his name.
Schlittler. I've been practicing Schlittler.
He looks pretty decent too.
He looks good.
5 strikeouts through 4.1 innings. He has given up some runs, but it's okay. It's spring training. We're working out the kinks, and obviously no pitcher is ever going to be perfect, but he looks good. So I'll take it.
Yep. And I'm with you, Sean. I am ready for the bearded dragon. Who gets to finally wear the beard. Poor guy shaved it. Face is very confused. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing Devin Williams myself. I have a lot of high hopes for him. And so, then in terms of what we're looking at today, here's our lineup. And as we said, Austin Wells leading off, making history, make those history books, go down in those annals of Yankee history, even though it's spring training. So, I'm really surprised. How come Goldie and Belly haven't gotten a nap yet? They've been in virtually every game.
I don't know, but I like Bellinger hitting third. If Judge is moving back to second, I think Belly behind Judge is the best move personally. Yep. And I think the Yankees offense, people are sleeping on it this season, right? Like, and I've had my own negative comments to say, so I'm not going to say I haven't, but it's another one of those where the writers think that maybe we'll win 80, 90 games and we're going to sneak up on people. And Bellinger and Goldie are going to have these bounce back seasons that no one was predicting. I'm not worried about Judge because he's Judge. Regular season Judge doesn't ever worry me. But I think having Judge and then Belly and then maybe Goldschmidt is going to be a really good combo. And I'm ready to see it opening day.
Yep. And I mean, as things look right now, that is likely what you would see. We're certainly not going to see Stanton in any kind of, lower first part of the order. And so it's that leadoff spot that, I know we'll see Jazz back up there. We'll likely see Volpe back up there. Hey, he hit a big home run. I was surprised I don't see him in the leadoff today because of it. But he's getting a nap instead. He's not even in the lineup.
I still don't like Jazz or Volpe as leadoff, simply not because they can't get on base, but I'm so worried that if they get on base, we won't allow them to steal. And that is such a big part of their games, and we robbed Volpe of that last season.
Yep.
I want to see them run this season because Volpe can run, Jazz can run, Dominguez can run, Belly can run. Like, we have guys who could steal bases this season. Let's utilize it.
Yep, I'm with you 100% on that. and I think we've talked about that for a few shows now. We need Jazz and Volpe lower down for those reasons. And you know what? Peraza's at third, and I think we better get comfortable with that because I just think that that's going to be it. Let's just hope that and he's working for it. He's earnest about it. Lord knows he deserves the shot because of what they've done with him the past few years. Pereira at DH. Interested to see how that goes. And what ends up with him for the coming year. But really excited about Lombard Jr. and on the bubble about Spencer Jones lately.
Yeah, there's definitely some mixed opinions there. The strikeout rate still concerns me. He has changed his stance. It looks different. He's shown that he has power, but I still have concerns. And also, not to mention, it feels like there's no path for him in this outfield anytime soon, right? Like we have 4 outfielders right now because we still have Grisham on the bench. Next season, I'm just going to play armchair GM for a second here. Next season, let's say we go after Kyle Tucker. We get Kyle Tucker. We move Belly to first base. You still have 4 outfielders because Jason Dominguez, they've already decided that is our left fielder. He's here, right? All right. Let's back it up a step. Let's say we don't go after Kyle Tucker. Let's say we go after Vlad to fill in first base. You still have 4 people in the outfield if we retain Grisham. Like there are so many scenarios that could happen within the next 2 seasons that I feel like there's not a clear path for Spencer Jones at this point. Not to mention Everson Pereira. He's running out of options. Like he either has to make the team or he has to be traded. So where does Spencer Jones fit in all of this? Are we ever going to trade this kid? Or are we just going to keep him in AAA until we have room for him? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, you're really at that bubble point with him that you I hate how I sound. You're at that point with him that, it's going to be another Peraza situation. Like, cut the base, get some good money for him and let him go fly and flourish somewhere else. But not having the best so far, show for spring training. And hey, okay, we got a new one showing in. So, hey,
listen, JD Martinez shows up in the playoffs. I don't care what anyone else says. I've jokingly made jokes about him last season towards the Mets fans, but like the guy hits in the playoffs. It's not the worst idea.
And Raziel's like that made Raziel sit down for a minute.
Listen, Raziel, we're running out of options here. We have no DH. We have no third baseman. I know it sounds crazy, but
yeah. Well, so and Jay Snow saying Spencer Jones has to be ready first before we worry about his spot. Well, yep, that's kind of what we're saying here. I felt like I was very hopeful for him. I thought he was ready and that, this would be an automatic, elevator to the top floor for him, but not yet, not for what we're seeing so far.
And in his defense, though, everyone compared him to Judge. Again, not fair to the kid. Like that's
right, exactly.
That hype was he's the next Aaron Judge, he's the next Mickey Mantle. Like that's not fair to Spencer Jones. Let Spencer Jones figure out who Spencer Jones is.
That's right. And somebody in the chat said earlier, I think it might have been Sean, or and if I'm saying the wrong name, sorry, but we just got to stop that crap. Nobody is the next anybody. Because then they get into headspace, we get into headspace, and get these unrealistic expectations, and then get mad at them when it's unfair to be mad at them. But yeah, we definitely need more bats. Evidently, we might need more pitchers when we thought we were good. We have our bullpen slimmed down and our starting rotation. Look where we're at. And so let's get down to some closing thoughts here, Ciara. What are you hoping to see today and before the next time we get together?
Hashtag Team Stro. Stroman is our starting pitcher today, whether you like it or not. He is here to stay. He is starting today. Hoping they let him go more than one inning. Like we don't, he pitched 1 inning in his first outing. He looked really good at that 1 inning. He's been throwing BPs. He's been very quiet. He's been very complete opposite of what everyone says Stroman is. So hashtag Team Stro. Go out there, light him up today. Make these haters shut their mouths. And as far as the offense goes, do what you got to do. It's spring training. I could care less if we win or not. At this point, I just want to see a good outing from Stroman.
Exactly. Let's treat it like spring training. It's laughable to me that there's standards for these standings for these leagues. Like, I'm supposed to be worried that the Yankees are in third place in the Grapefruit League. No, I just want exactly what you said. Let's go to the runway show and see how the models look. And let's see if we like what they're wearing. That's what this is all about. And for them to just get their reps in and show what they got. That and so that we can make some bets on who we're adding to the 26 and 40. So, and I do believe in Stroman. I think that he's been very low key for a reason. First of all, I think he's butthurt. Second of all, I think he's managing his own emotions and expectations because he knows he's on the bubble no matter what. And it's just sort of an unfortunate, but yet good circumstance for him that they need him right now. He's needed for the first time in probably ever since he's come over. So I really hope that he sparks a little bit of interest and that he does well today. And I just really hope that we get some positive results from anything we learn about Stanton, and those MRI results on heel is really what's top of my mind. I really want to know what's going on there, and they better tell us the truth, because if you don't tell us the truth, we'll know it and we'll be after you.
I just want to know when we're throwing DJ LeMahieu's retirement party, because I will get the cake. I will get the decorations. I will send up the invitation list. Like, we'll send you out with a bang, DJ. But it's been nice knowing you.
No, it really is time, and I'm a loyalist, and but it's time, and I hope that he is starting to come to terms with that too, which I can't even imagine what that would feel like. But you know what, home office better start coming to terms with it. I don't want to hear Boone saying any good thing about turning a corner. And
it's right in front of us.
Our friends in the chat and people all over social media have been saying he's cooked for years now. I'm finally in full agreement. And so we just got to move on, even if that means he gathers cobwebs in the clubhouse. That's just the way it's got to be. And it's a sad way to end what was an exciting start to his time with us. So I think that about wraps it up for us this week on the Upper Deck. As always, chat, you have been hot and scrolling. I have to always play back the chat because it goes so fast before our eyes. I think there's some debating going on, maybe a little bit of drama. I want to get some popcorn and read through all that. But let's just see what we get to see from our guys this week. And as always, you have a reserved seat with Sierra and me right here on the Upper Deck. So we'll see you same bat time, same bat channel next Sunday. Have a great day, everybody, and go Yankees.